Missing child Ayla Reynolds. Missing since December 16, 2011. Missing from Waterville, ME. Dob April 4, 2010. Age now 13. Sex female. Race white. Hair color blonde. Eye color blue. Height 2 feet 9 inches. Weight 30 pounds. Both photos shown are of Ayla. She was last seen at home on December 16, 2011. Ayla's left arm is in a sling. Ayla was last seen wearing green pajamas with polka dots and Daddy's Princess written on the front. Waterville Police Department, Maine, 1-207-872-5551. It has been more than a decade since Ayla Reynolds vanished from a home in Waterville, Maine. Even after all these years, the image of her smiling face has not been forgotten. The disappearance of the 20-month-old sparked the largest investigation in state history, but there she was never found. It is a mystery that has captured the minds of people all across the state and even the country. The question remains, where is Ayla? Part 1. The disappearance. On the morning of December 17, 2011, Ayla Reynolds' father, Justin DiPietro, called police to report his daughter missing from his mother's house on Violet Avenue, where the two were staying. He was there with his then-girlfriend, Courtney Roberts, and his sister, Phoebe DiPietro. They claimed they put the 20-month-old to bed the night before, and when they woke up, she was gone. "We are aggressively investigating this case," Waterville Police Chief Joe Massey said. "We're following every lead. Our goal is to find her. We're going to do everything that we can." Part 2. The investigation. As hours turned to days, search efforts turned up nothing. It was becoming more and more clear Ayla would not be home in time for Christmas. Still, the community and her family held on to hope. The story of the little girl's disappearance quickly spread and even made national headlines. Both parents made separate appearances on network television as they searched for answers. Trista Reynolds took aim at her ex, Justin DiPietro. "He's the only one that can answer my questions," Reynolds said on the Today Show. "You know, like, we have a daughter that is missing. We used to be able to get along all the time. He was last one to see her alive." Part 3. Blood found. 6 weeks after Ayla Reynolds disappeared came signs the house where she was last seen held answers. Police were told by Ayla's father, Justin DiPietro, that someone came into the home in the middle of the night and took her, but investigators did not believe it. "The story doesn't pass the straight-face test," Maine Public Safety spokesman Stephen McCausland said at the time. Police made public that blood, later confirmed to be Ayla's, was found in the basement of the home. There was still not enough to charge anyone. 5 months after Ayla vanished, police delivered the news everyone feared: she was not going to be found alive. "This is not likely to have a happy ending," McCausland said. "There is nothing that we have found that leads us to believe that she's alive." Trista Reynolds' family allowed news outlets into their home as they watched the press conference delivering that news. She immediately burst into tears as her sadness turned to anger. "He effing knew? That man killed my baby," Reynolds shouted. Part 4. Declared dead. In 2017, at Trista Reynolds' request, a judge finally declared Ayla legally dead. The judge ruled her time of death on or about December 17, 2011, when she was reported missing by her father, Justin DiPietro. News Center Maine went back to the home on Violet Avenue, where DiPietro's mother Phoebe and sister Alicia still live. Neither of them wanted to be interviewed. When confronted in her driveway, Alicia said she refused to believe her niece was dead, and said her family had nothing to do with Ayla's disappearance. Phoebe, Ayla's grandmother, accused the media of wanting to convict them. As for Justin, he fled the state. A few months after the judge's ruling, a reporter with the TV show Crime Watch Daily tracked him down in California. "I was just wondering how you were coping with that," the reporter asked. "Not very good," DiPietro responded. "Do you think it was from someone that you know, or a stranger?" she asked. Yes, someone that I know," he replied. "Could we meet at another time?" Now that Ayla was declared legally dead, On the 7-year anniversary, Trista Reynolds and her attorneys filed a wrongful death lawsuit against DiPietro. "I wonder if this is haunting you, Justin," she said during a press conference. "I wonder if our daughter haunts your dreams or if you see her blue eyes when you close your eyes at night. I wonder if you even think about that night you murdered her." Justin DiPietro and his attorneys have denied any wrongdoing and called the lawsuit meritless. Part 5. What now? More than a decade later, there are still no answers about what happened to Ayla Reynolds. On the 10-year anniversary, Waterville Police Chief Joe Massey said the case has haunted him from day one. "This is one of several that you always say to yourself you'd like to see it solved," he said. The Ayla Reynolds case was the largest criminal investigation in the state of Maine, and it had a significant impact. Maine State Police insisted the case is still active. They have gotten hundreds of tips over the years. Lieutenant Jeffrey Love said the DiPietro family likely holds the answers. "We still feel they do have more information that could help us," Love said. Ayla's mother, Trista Reynolds, continues her legal fight against Justin DiPietro. The suit has since expanded to include his mother and sister and is still being litigated. "I'm going to keep fighting, and I'm going to keep sharing her story, because our story, Ayla's story, and my story, is going to save someone someday," she said. "I know it will." Ayla Reynolds' disappearance timeline. Events in the 3 years since the Waterville toddler disappeared in December 2011. December 15, 2011, Trista Reynolds files for full custody of her 20-month-old daughter, Ayla Reynolds, in Cumberland County District Court in Portland. Ayla had been in the care of her father, Justin DiPietro, since October, when Reynolds went into a drug rehabilitation program. Reynolds later says she called DiPietro to talk to Ayla, but he told her she was watching Home Alone and couldn't come to the phone. December 16, 2011, 10 p.m. Ayla Reynolds is reportedly seen for the last time by her aunt Alicia DiPietro at 10 p.m. in her bed at 29 Violet Avenue in Waterville. She is wearing one-piece pajamas with the words "Daddy's Princess." Her left arm, broken in a fall 3 weeks earlier, is in a soft splint and sling. December 17, 2011, 8:49 a.m. DiPietro calls 911 to report Ayla is missing, saying he found her bed empty. Waterville police, firefighters, and wardens from the Maine Warden Service searched the neighborhood by foot and air. Waterville and Maine State Police detectives searched the house. Reynolds, who is on her way to Machiasport with a friend to visit her boyfriend at the Downeast Correctional Facility, detours to Waterville, where she is questioned by police for 2 hours. December 18, 2011, FBI agents, police dogs, neighbors, and other volunteers joined the house-to-house and neighborhood search. Game wardens scour the banks of nearby Messalonsky Stream. Police interview DiPietro, his sister Alicia DiPietro, and his girlfriend, Courtney Roberts, all of whom were in the house the night Ayla disappeared. Police hold the first of many press conferences on the disappearance. December 19, 2011, police seize 2 vehicles, one of them registered to DiPietro and the other to Roberts, of Portland. Police say DiPietro and Reynolds are cooperating. Meanwhile, the case draws national media attention. Reynolds appears on ABC's Good Morning America and HLN's Nancy Grace shows. The search swells to 70 law enforcement agents, including an aerial search and an airboat search of Messalonsky Stream. December 20, 2011, DiPietro releases a statement through Waterville police saying he doesn't know what happened to Ayla. Investigators drain a section of Messalonsky Stream and examine garbage bins, garages, backyards, ball fields, and woods near the home. FBI Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team canvasses Waterville neighborhoods. Police say it's still a missing child case and they have received more than 100 tips. December 21, 2011, the search expands across Waterville with help from 50 members of the Maine Association for Search and Rescue. Nearly 100 people attend a candlelight vigil at a local church. December 22, 2011. 6 days into the search, investigators put crime scene tape around 29 Violet Avenue. Two of the state's top homicide investigators visit the house. December 23, 2011. Overnight snow ends the ground search. Reynolds tells NBC's Today Show that she blames DiPietro for not keeping Ayla safe and hopes her daughter will be home for Christmas. Police get media inquiries from across the country. Dozens gather for a candlelight vigil in Congress Square in Portland. December 24, 2011. Waterville police appeal for a break in media coverage so they can work outside the microscope. Crime scene evidence tape seals all doors and windows at 29 Violet Avenue throughout Christmas weekend. December 26, 2011. 10 days into the investigation, police say they believe someone took Ayla, the first time they've said that they don't believe she left the house on her own. Community members offer a $30,000 reward for evidence leading to Ayla. December 28, 2011. DiPietro makes a second statement through Waterville police, repeating that he doesn't know what happened to Ayla. The Warden Service ends the last large-scale Waterville ground search. December 29, 2011. Reynolds appears on the Today Show, pleading with DiPietro to communicate with her. December 30, 2011. Police say foul play is suspected in what is now a criminal case. Maine State Police Major Crimes Unit takes the lead in the investigation, and Massachusetts detectives join the effort, providing investigative tools at the house. December 31, 2011. State Police release the house at 29 Violet Avenue back to the DiPietro family. January 1, 2012. The DiPietro family is seen back at the home. January 2, 2012. Justin DiPietro grants interviews to the Morning Sentinel and NBC's Today Show and pleads for Ayla's safe return. January 4, 2012. DiPietro grants a second interview to the Morning Sentinel and challenges TV personality Nancy Grace to spend a day with him. He says Ayla broke her arm when he fell on her in November. His mother, Phoebe DiPietro, who owns 29 Violet Avenue, says she had to sign her home over to investigators and the family was not allowed in for 2 weeks. January 6 to January 8, 2012. DiPietro appears on New England Cable News to discuss his efforts to find Ayla. Phoebe DiPietro tells CNN she didn't hear anything in her home the night before Ayla was reported missing, then appears the next day to clarify she was not in the home that night. January 10, 2012. State Police and the Warden Service dive teams search parts of the Kennebec River and Messalonskee Stream. McCausland says investigators have received more than 600 tips. McCausland adds that police encourage Ayla's family members to speak to the news media about the search. Earlier, Reynolds appears on the Today Show and says she had spoken to DiPietro, but hadn't gotten the whole truth about what happened the night Ayla disappeared. January 13, 2012. In a third interview with the Morning Sentinel, DiPietro says he took a polygraph test, but that police didn't show him results. McCausland says DiPietro knows how he did, because we told him. DiPietro contends that being told the results is irrelevant if he cannot see for himself. He adds, "I know I went in there and smoked it. I told the truth." McCausland says special training is required to interpret the printed lines on a polygraph test. January 16, 2012. Angela Harry, a DiPietro acquaintance, launches a website that describes the events of December 16 and 17. The account, Harry says, was compiled from near-daily phone conversations with DiPietro. January 17, 2012. A second candlelight vigil is held in Waterville. DiPietro attends with his brother, Lance DiPietro, and friends. January 19, 2012. Reynolds says she has taken a polygraph test but wasn't able to complete it because of a medical condition. January 25, 2012. Waterville police deny a request by the Morning Sentinel for an audio recording or transcript of DiPietro's 911 call on December 17. Deputy Chief Charles Rumsey cites Maine law saying release of investigative intelligence could hinder the investigation. January 27, 2012. The Reynolds family announces that two more of Ayla's maternal family members have taken polygraph tests. Ayla's uncle Ronnie Reynolds passed the test the day before, and her maternal grandmother, Becca Hansen, couldn't complete the test because she was on medication. January 28, 2012. McCausland announces that police doubt Ayla was abducted from her home, and DiPietro's explanation doesn't pass the straight-face test. Earlier that day, police announced that blood was found at 29 Violet Avenue during the December search. Shortly after the announcement, DiPietro and Reynolds appear together at a vigil in Waterville. It is the first time they have seen each other since Ayla disappeared. January 29, 2012. McCausland confirms that the blood found in the Violet Avenue home is Ayla's. February 3, 2012. State Police and Warden Service dive teams returned to the Kennebec River and Messalonskee Stream. At a news conference, McCausland says police need more tips. At 11:15 p.m., Phoebe DiPietro calls 911 to report vandalism at her home after two windows are shattered from the outside. February 13, 2012. Augusta attorney Steve Bowerget says he has been representing Phoebe and Alicia DiPietro since early January, and they have no idea what happened to Ayla. In Portland, Ayla's maternal family announces that state police told them Justin DiPietro bought a life insurance policy on his daughter shortly after she came under his care. Waterville police summoned Jeremy Hansen, 19, of Clinton, on a charge of vandalizing the DiPietro home on February 3. March 3, 2012. Phoebe DiPietro, Justin's mother, speaks at a vigil of about 100 people in Waterville's Castengay Square. DiPietro does not attend, citing threats against him. March 11, 2012. DiPietro and supporters, the Tudela family, in an interview with the Morning Sentinel, contend that a kidnapping is plausible, despite contrary claims by state police. DiPietro says there are good reasons to believe Ayla was kidnapped, but won't say what they were. March 18, 2012. Ayla's step-grandfather, Jeff Hansen, launches AnswersForAyla.com, a blog that purports to have inside information from state police. The blog contends investigators found more than a cup of blood in the basement at 29 Violet Avenue, but police won't confirm that. March 24, 2012. More than 100 searchers scour areas of Waterville, Oakland, Fairfield, and Norridgewock. Searchers discover the remains of Stephen C. Brandon of Waterville, who was missing since February 2004, but nothing related to Ayla. At a news conference, McCausland asks residents in Greater Kennebec County to search their property for signs of the missing toddler. He also says communication between Ayla's paternal family and investigators has basically stopped. Bowerget says that is not true of his clients. McCausland says state police, Waterville police, and the Warden Service have spent about $100,000 in overtime related to the investigation. Police Chief Joseph Massey later estimates the cost of the investigation could be as high as $500,000. March 28, 2012. Justin, Alicia, and Phoebe DiPietro tell the Morning Sentinel that communication with police has stopped because investigators won't answer their questions. March 29, 2012. Reynolds tells the Associated Press that Ayla needed constant attention. She wonders whether DiPietro may have been frustrated by her. April 4, 2012. Ayla's maternal family calls for people across Maine and beyond to search their property on Ayla's second birthday. The family calls it a gift for Ayla. They also organize a vigil in downtown Portland. More than 100 people attend. April 19, 2012. Family, friends, and community members attend a prayer vigil for Ayla at the Church of God in Waterville, organized by her uncle, Lance DiPietro. The three adults who were with Ayla on December 16, Justin DiPietro, Alicia DiPietro, and Courtney Roberts, attend. News cameras and most reporters are not allowed to attend. April 25, 2012 Police recover items from the Kennebec River. McCausland says investigators don't know if the items, brought to the state crime lab, are related to the Ayla case. May 5, 2012 At a walk to raise awareness about Ayla, Alicia DiPietro tells a Morning Sentinel reporter that she took a polygraph exam and did fine, but won't say if she passed. McCausland won't confirm whether she took an exam. May 8, 2012 Police drain a diversion channel of a Waterville dam to search for evidence. McCausland says some items were removed from the scene by detectives and sent to the crime lab for processing as potential evidence. May 18, 2012 Reynolds says police told her the items retrieved from the Kennebec River on May 8 are unrelated to the case. May 31, 2012 Maine State Police and Waterville Police say at a press conference Ayla is likely dead. Attorney John Nail announces that the $30,000 reward for information expires June 30. June 30, 2012 The $30,000 reward for information expires at the end of the day. A candlelight vigil is held at 29 Violet Avenue from 9 p.m. to midnight. July 2, 2012 The DiPietro family removes the teddy bear shrine that appeared on the lawn of 29 Violet Avenue shortly after Ayla's disappearance. July 6, 2012 Lance DiPietro is found guilty of assault following a February street fight with Justin Linnell, the father of Alicia DiPietro's child, after Linnell purportedly made remarks about Ayla's disappearance. July 14, 2012 Reynolds holds a benefit walk for Ayla in Portland from Monument Square to Deering Park to mark the 200th day since her disappearance. Reynolds says she wants to share the walk she used to do nearly every day with Ayla. July 17, 2012 Searchers find nothing substantial during a search of the Kennebec River from Lockwood Dam at the Hathaway Creative Center and upstream to the Hydro-Kennebec Dam. The search coincides with the 7-month mark of the investigation. October 5, 2012 State Police detectives search Messalonsky Stream, which was drained by Kennebec Water District for routine maintenance. Detectives cover a half-mile of riverbank upstream and downstream of the North Street Bridge. Nothing is found. December 14, 2012 McCausland says at a press conference communication between investigators and Justin, Alicia, and Phoebe has improved. Bargett says police presented his clients with physical evidence from the case and the DNA evidence from the basement matches Ayla, but it isn't necessarily blood. December 17, 2012 On the first anniversary of Ayla's disappearance, about 20 people light candles and sing Christmas carols in front of 29 Violet Avenue. Although the house is well lit inside and out, there is no sign of its occupants. July 25, 2013 DiPietro pleads not guilty to domestic violence assault after he was charged July 6 with grabbing and pushing former girlfriend Roberts in Portland during an argument. He is scheduled to appear on court on the charges September 25. DiPietro tells a Morning Sentinel reporter he is living in his mother's basement on Violet Avenue and trying to live a normal life. September 2013 A petition is started on PressJustin.com by Jeff Hansen asking the Attorney General bring charges against DiPietro in connection with Ayla's disappearance. September 10, 2013 DiPietro is arrested in South Portland for violating bail conditions possession of alcohol. September 26, 2013 Reynolds and DiPietro relatives quarrel inside and outside the Cumberland County Courthouse in Portland at DiPietro's hearing on the bail violation. Trista Reynolds says that while the hearing isn't related to Ayla's disappearance, it is a chance to raise awareness that no one had been charged. DiPietro pleads guilty to violating conditions of release. October 23, 2013 A morning-long search by state police and game wardens in woods off Hussey Hill Road in Oakland turns up nothing but animal bones. McCausland said the search was prompted by one of more than 1,400 tips they've now received in the case, and the area has come up 3 times in tips. He said the investigation is ongoing and investigators continue to talk to family members. We won't stop searching until we find Ayla, he says at a news conference. December 17, 2013. In the week before the second anniversary of Ayla's disappearance, McCausland tells the Morning Sentinel that in the 2 years since her disappearance, there have been 20 searches, both public and private, related to the case. Those in the house the night Ayla disappeared don't respond to interview requests from the Morning Sentinel, although Alicia DiPietro says in a Facebook message, "All I have to say is that I love my niece and hope that she comes home soon." January 25, 2014. About 35 protesters, including Trista Reynolds, her father Ronnie Reynolds Sr. and her stepfather Jeff Hansen, gather outside the Waterville police station in an effort to keep attention on the case. February 3, 2014. Transcripts from Justin DiPietro's 911 call the morning Ayla was reported missing are released following a Freedom of Access request by the Associated Press and the Morning Sentinel. The transcripts show DiPietro told the dispatcher he put Ayla to bed at 8 p.m. on December 16. His sister checked on her at 10 p.m., woke up this morning, went to her room and she's not there, he says. Asked by the dispatcher when the last time someone had seen the child was, he is heard asking his sister, then responds that it was 10 p.m. He tells the dispatcher there's no way she coulda crawled from the crib and left the house. "We've checked all through the house." McCausland says investigators have checked out 1,414 tips. March 28, 2014. Trista Reynolds, in a letter to the Morning Sentinel, calls on Kennebec County District Attorney Maghan Maloney to bring child endangerment charges against DiPietro. She says in the letter, as she has frequently in the past, that Ayla was in her father's care when she disappeared and there's enough evidence to prove a crime had been committed. Who can argue Ayla was not a victim of heinous abuse? Reynolds asks in the letter. Her father had a duty to protect her and he did not, and for that he needs to be prosecuted. Law enforcement officials point out that the investigation is in the hands of the State Attorney General's office, and Deputy Attorney General Bill Stokes says the case is still active, but he can't comment on specifics or why people haven't been charged. "I have no reaction to any specifics in Trista's letter," he tells the Morning Sentinel. "This is not what I'd call a cold case. We're working on leads at least on a weekly basis on that case." The search for Ayla Reynolds is still ongoing 11 years after her disappearance. The 20-month-old was last seen in Waterville on December 16, 2011. She was in the care of her father, Justin DiPietro, when he called 911 and told the dispatcher, "I woke up this morning. My daughter is not here." The girl's father reported her missing on December 17, 2011, while she was staying with him, his sister, Alicia DiPietro, and his then-girlfriend, Courtney Roberts, at his mother's home in Waterville. DiPietro told investigators his daughter must have wandered away from the house on her own or been abducted in the night, but police later said they had ruled out that story and that the girl's disappearance was the result of foul play. Police said the adults in the home were withholding information, and in January 2012 revealed they found Ayla's blood in the DiPietro home. State police said they found Ayla's blood throughout DiPietro's Waterville home, including more than a cup's worth in the basement, which had a strong odor of bleach. DiPietro's lawyer said that DNA was from when Ayla was sick. Apparently, it's not uncommon that if a child, or a person, is vomiting repeatedly, for some blood to be in the vomit, DiPietro's lawyer Michael Waxman said in 2018. "That's the only explanation I'm aware of." Over the years, DiPietro has denied he had anything to do with Ayla's disappearance. No one has been charged in the case. A judge declared Ayla legally dead in 2017, but her body has never been found. The disappearance of 20-month-old Ayla Reynolds has been the most extensive investigation in Maine history, but the truth about what happened remains a mystery. "I remember just walking down the street with her and people would just light up seeing her when she would smile, or just start waving, or if she heard music and she started dancing in her stroller," Trista Reynolds, Ayla's mother, told CBS 13 in 2021. All Trista has left of her daughter are the memories. She was awesome, Trista said Indiana 20221. She loved to dance, and she loved to smile. She'd wake up in the morning jumping in her crib. That's how I knew she was awake. In 2011, the Department of Health and Human Services temporarily placed Ayla with her father. 2 months later, she went missing from his Waterville home. Summer 2014. The Waterville Regional Communications Center becomes the third dispatch center in the state to be certified in procedures designed to better handle 911 calls in a missing person case, spurred in part by the high-profile Reynolds case. Waterville Police Chief Joseph Massey says that is because there were no procedures specifying what questions should be asked of a person making a missing person report and in what order the questions should be asked. It's difficult to know if every bit of pertinent information is gathered during initial police contact in such cases. November 22, 2014. With the statute of limitations on some charges due to run out on the third anniversary of Ayla's disappearance in a few weeks, Trista Reynolds says she despairs of lesser charges, such as child endangerment, being brought. But she adds of the 3 people in the house the night her daughter disappeared, all of them should be put in jail. December 14 and 17, 2016. Though the Reynolds family had told media it would pursue a wrongful death case against Justin DiPietro, attorney Michael T. Bigos, a lawyer with Berman and Simmons who had agreed to work on the case pro bono, decides not to pursue the lawsuit at this time. 3 days after that announcement, Trista Reynolds tells the Kennebec Journal she still has hope of finding the child alive. May 30, 2017. Trista Reynolds requests a probate court hearing for formally declaring her daughter dead more than 5 years after the toddler's disappearance. The Reynolds family has said that a court ruling declaring Ayla dead is necessary to preserve the rights of Ayla's estate to bring a lawsuit. The probate court hearing is set for September 21. September 21, 2017. Cumberland County Probate Judge Joseph Mazziotti hears testimony from Trista Reynolds and Lieutenant Jeff Love of the Maine State Police Major Crimes, who testified that no information has come to light suggesting Ayla is still alive. If Mazziotti declares Ayla Reynolds dead, it will open the door for Trista Reynolds to file a wrongful death lawsuit against Justin DiPietro, who was not in the courtroom. 911 transcripts reveal timeline of Ayla Reynolds' disappearance. The biggest criminal investigation in state history began with a 911 call in which a father said his 20-month-old daughter was last seen about 10 hours before, gave a brief description of the pajamas she was wearing and said there's no way she could have crawled out of her crib. In transcripts obtained Monday by the Associated Press through the Freedom of Access Act, Justin DiPietro told the emergency dispatcher that he put Ayla Reynolds to bed at 8 p.m. and that his sister checked on her 2 hours later on December 16, 2011. He dialed 911 the next day at 8:49 a.m. In the call, DiPietro was asked when he last saw Ayla Reynolds. "When I put her to bed last night. My sister checked on her. Woke up this morning, went to her room and she's not there," he said. At one point, the phone call ended and DiPietro called back a second time, explaining that my cell phone died. The Associated Press requested the material after the state Supreme Court ruled such transcripts should be made public unless law enforcement officials can show how releasing the documents would harm an investigation. The youngster was reported missing from the Waterville home where DiPietro lived with his mother, girlfriend, and sister. The 911 call prompted a search by police that grew to include game wardens, FBI agents, and other officers who canvassed neighborhoods, lowered streams and sent divers into the nearby Kennebec River. Investigators found blood inside the home, and they have concluded that the child is no longer alive and was a victim of foul play. The case remains unsolved. The transcripts didn't identify the caller, but state police said previously Justin DiPietro dialed 911. He told the dispatcher that he was in the home with his girlfriend and his sister Alicia, along with 2 other children besides Ayla. DiPietro was adamant when the dispatcher asked it was possible if Ayla had crawled out of her crib. "No, ma'am, there is no way. She coulda got, there's no way she could," he responded. Trista Reynolds, Ayla's mother, has been pressing for investigators to bring charges against DiPietro or other adults who were in the house that night. In hopes of pressuring law enforcement, Reynolds last summer said detectives told her Ayla's blood was found inside the DiPietro home. There's also an online petition calling for Attorney General Janet Mills to bring charges. We certainly understand the frustration. We share it. There's nothing worse than losing a child, Deputy Attorney General Bill Stokes said Monday. You have to make sure you protect the integrity of the investigation by following the evidence. Trista Reynolds said Monday that she's focusing on organizing a celebration of life on what would have been Ayla's birthday on April 4th. I'm thankful for all of the supporters and everyone helping out, she said. DiPietro couldn't be located for comment, and his mother didn't immediately return a message left on her cell phone. A lawyer who represented the family didn't immediately respond to messages. State police say the case remains active. Detectives have vetted 1,414 tips from the public and a team of detectives continues to pursue the investigation, said Stephen McCausland, spokesman for the Maine Department of Public Safety. It is the largest investigation in state police history. It continues to be worked on daily, he said. The state Supreme Court ruling in November doesn't require law enforcement officials to release all 911 transcripts, but it provided guidance and required justification for withholding transcripts. Under Maine law, 911 transcripts are to be made public under the FOA law, but there can be exceptions for intelligence and investigative records. Before the court ruling, the Attorney General's office routinely declined to release the 911 transcripts in open investigations. Ayla Reynolds is a child from Waterville, Maine who disappeared, aged 19 months, on December 16, 2011. She was last seen at 8 p.m. that night in her bed by a family member, but was not there when her father checked the next morning. The case was the largest criminal investigation in Maine's history and the third largest search for a missing child in the state's history, perhaps exceeded by the intensive search for the Mott children in Baxter State Park in August 1965. Disappearance. Ayla had been placed temporarily in the home of her father, Justin DiPietro, by a Maine Department of Human Services, DHS, employee, Karen Small. Relatives maintain that Small decided to forego conducting a home visit prior to Ayla's placement. Her mother Trista Reynolds was in the area and claims she was on her way to rehab for her heroin addiction. Ayla was reported missing from her bed on December 17, 2011. According to DiPietro's statement to the police, the last time he saw Ayla, she was wearing green polka dot pajamas with "Daddy's Princess" written across them, along with a soft cast on her left arm. There were two people, besides DiPietro, in the house at the time of Ayla's disappearance: his girlfriend Courtney Roberts, and his sister Alicia DiPietro. State police held a press conference in May 2012 to discuss recent developments in the case, including the discovery of blood in her father's house and the number of people who were present at the time of her disappearance. The blood was confirmed to be more than a cupful of Ayla's blood, adjacent to DiPietro's bed. The only comment state investigators made at the time of its discovery was that it was more blood than a small cut would produce. Search. Following Ayla's disappearance, a group of Waterville businesses posted a reward of $30,000 for information leading to her safe return. The reward generated approximately 1,200 leads, many of them from psychics, none of which led to the discovery of any information regarding Ayla. DiPietro, his brother Lance, and a mutual friend collaborated with the Laura Recovery Center to produce T-shirts, buttons, flyers, and other goods to spread awareness of Ayla's disappearance. DiPietro did not speak about his daughter's disappearance for almost 3 weeks after the story broke. As a result, Ayla's mother accused him of having something to hide. Nearly a full year later, in October 2012, police trawled Messalonsky Stream a second time to look for Ayla's remains, when construction workers repairing a bridge artificially lowered the water level in the stream. Nothing was found. DiPietro has not been charged in relation to the case. However, state investigators and Trista Reynolds have both expressed that they believe DiPietro has not been forthcoming about his knowledge of Ayla's disappearance. On June 25, 2015, an unidentified toddler, known as Baby Doe or Deer Island Jane Doe, was found dead on the shore of Deer Island, Massachusetts. The subject was believed to have been around 3 to 5 years old at the time of death, which was somewhat consistent with Reynolds. Many suspected that the unidentified body was Ayla, but she was soon excluded as a possible identity. The Jane Doe was identified in September 2015 as Bella Bond. Aftermath. At the one-year anniversary of Ayla's disappearance, the Maine State Police, Maine Warden's Service, and Waterville Police stated that they would not let up on search efforts until Ayla was found. 2 searches conducted earlier that month in southern New Hampshire and in Mayfield turned up nothing. A candlelight vigil was held in Waterville to mark 1 month of Ayla's being missing and was attended by DiPietro. He was also the first to leave the vigil and refused to speak to the media. Trista organized a 4-mile, 6.4 kilometers, walk in Waterville called the Eyes Open Walk, as well as a similar walk in Portland, in May and July 2012, in order to keep media attention focused on the case. On May 17, 2017, Ayla was declared dead by the state of Maine. On December 17, 2018, Trista Reynolds filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Justin DiPietro, alleging that he caused Ayla's death through intentional wrongful actions and subjected the child to pre-death pain, fright, terror, and physical injuries. At the time of filing, DiPietro's whereabouts were unknown. On February 22, 2022, Trista Reynolds sought to amend and expand the wrongful death lawsuit against Justin DiPietro because of newly discovered evidence.
could fly like birds, so fly so high to reach you, to be near you. Years will pass and leaves will fall, all the seas will dry. You know the snow will slowly melt, but my love will never die, never die. It's been too long, I wish I could turn back time, sitting here waiting till the sun won't shine. I'll wait till you can hear me. I know someday everything will change for us. You will be with me forevermore. No more will I ever leave you. Years will pass and leaves will fall, all the seas will dry. You know the snow will slowly melt, but my love will never die, never die. Years will pass and leaves will fall, all the seas will dry. You know